And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited. There's a clear cause and effect here that is as neat and predictable as a law of physics. As government expands, liberty contracts.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
Hey, you found us again. Here we are in the beautiful Liberty Podcast studio for yet another edition of your Liberty Podcast. Today, ladies and gentlemen, is January 25, 2024. The new year is just speeding by. The first month almost in the books. We're going to have a rapid fire edition of the podcast today. A lot to get to. We're going to try to jam it all in here in a little more condensed form for y'all. And let's get started. Now, 40 years ago, this summer, the United States and really the world was captivated by an American gymnast competing in Los Angeles. Her name was Mary Lou Retton. She was unlike any gymnast the Americans had ever seen. And she came along at that perfect moment in time when she was at the top of her game at the Los Angeles Olympics in front of a home crowd. She won gold medals right and left. Her personality captivated America, captivated all of the marketing and advertising executives around the country. You'll remember she ended up on the cover of various magazines and on the Wheaties cereal box, and she was the Energizer battery spokesperson. And from there, she went on for many years to great success as a motivational speaker because everything that she said was so genuine and her personality was so authentic. And she was just the kind of Olympic hero that America had been looking for. This at the very outset of what we now consider today sports marketing, with all the endorsements and the strategic goals that go with that. She was at the forefront of that in 1984, and she went on to succeed in broadcasting as well, and then began to start a family of her own, and living in Houston, Texas, and then later back in her native West Virginia. In the mid-90s, I had the distinct pleasure of working with Mary Lou Retton on a syndicated television program. We were doing a countdown syndication studio TV show on the road to the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta, just 12 years after Los Angeles. Seems like a long time ago. Well, that's because it was. But I can tell you that she was the ultimate professional. And remember, she was then in her late 20s. She did all this in LA as a teenager. So by the time I was working with her, she was still not even 30 years old. And she was poised and professional and so great to work with, and really a natural in front of the TV camera as time would go on as well. Now, I hate to report this, but probably the most, the least credible newspaper these days, USA Today, where I began my checkered career in print journalism just 2 summers before the Los Angeles Olympics. They have 2 columnists, both female, both miserable people at USA Today. One of them is a former colleague of mine, Christine Brennan. I remember her when she was a trailblazing sports writer, I believe the first to cover a NFL team, the Washington Redskins. And we were friends for quite a number of years. Her colleague at USA Today is Nancy Armour, who has just become this social justice warrior, nothing like the sports journalists that I admired growing up or that I admired when I was in the profession. Well, now here comes Christine Brennan coming up on the 40th anniversary of Mary Lou Retton's Los Angeles Olympic triumph. She is all over Mary Lou and her family because Mary Lou contracted a terrible case of extreme pneumonia and other related lung ailments last year, which left her on death's door. Her children went to one of these crowdsourcing platforms and began to raise money for Mary Lou, who apparently owed to many years of orthopedic surgery and whatnot, had unfortunately ceased to be covered by medical insurance. USA Today has made this their cause celeb. They want to basically leave America now believing that Mary Lou has swindled $459,000 out of 8,300 donors across the country to pay for medical bills that USA Today is now saying are suspect because Mary Lou refuses to answer their questions and be interrogated by Christine Brennan and others at the newspaper. Retton's unwillingness to answer the most basic questions about her health care is receiving increased scrutiny for one simple reason. The decision by Retton's daughter and her three sisters to seek public donations for their mother on the crowdsourcing site called Spot Fund. Had they not done that, Retton's illness likely would have remained a private matter, never bursting into public view and enticing so many strangers to send money. This really makes me ill. This makes me ill. And then USA Today is saying, oh, she could have found insurance. We talked to an insurance agent who found two plans that would have allowed someone with Mary Lou's medical history to qualify. In a text message to USA Today Sports Saturday, Kelly, the daughter, would not comment on how much of the nearly $500,000 had been accounted for, but said that all remaining funds would go to a charity of her mother's choice. She offered no timetable or further information. So there you have it. And if you don't think there's going to be backlash against USA Today over this, coming as it does just about a month after Nancy Armour wrote in USA Today's pages that anyone who opposed biological males competing in women's sports were just merely bigots. That's what she wrote. Worse, that's what USA Today published. Garbage. It's a garbage newspaper after more than 40 years of existence. And it didn't have to be that way, but nor did journalism have to die and become the corrupt, steaming dumpster fire that it is now. It breaks my heart in many ways that I won't bore you with. So one of the things that takes up my time is perusing the many sources of alternative and very credible media that is out there in the digital and streaming universe, so that we can pursue real reporting and real analysis of what's going on that the mainstream media and the left and the Biden regime would just assume we never hear about, read about, even think about for a moment. But I can assure you that we're paying attention here at the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, Liberty Podcast. One such source of excellent reporting is Darren Beattie, the founder and publisher of Revolver News. And he does take aim on hypocrisy and deceit at every turn. He is probably the leading expert on one of the forgotten subplots of January 6th, 2021, the date that the left has tried to cast as an insurrection led by Donald Trump, then president of the United States. But what it really is turning out to be is a highly coordinated effort to set up a day of chaos that would then be used against Trump and his political allies, and of course his voters, many of whom have been arrested and are rotting in prison as we speak. some without trial dates. So let's get to Darren Beattie's latest really excellent reporting on January 6th and an element of that date that you may have either not known about or have forgotten about. Let's go. Oh boy, did I do that? Wait a minute, can't have that. All right, the January 6th pipe bombs, that's what we're going for here, refer to the two alleged explosive devices planted on the evening of January 5 and discovered on January 6th near the DNC and RNC buildings. Now, we don't want to get into too much alphabet soup here. That's Democrat National Committee and Republican National Committee. All right? These were discovered just as the assault on the west perimeter of the Capitol began to unfold in the early afternoon. And yet, guess what? Darren Beattie will tell you that though they were informed of the existence of the pipe bomb at the DNC headquarters, that meaning Secret Service members, they were, according to video surveillance, not very concerned when they were told that they were in the vicinity of a pipe bomb. And almost as bizarre as this inexplicable lack of concern, writes Darren Beattie, in response to being informed of the pipe bomb, is the fact that up until that point, the Secret Service was informed of the pipe bombs at 1:05 p.m., yet they had been sitting out there fairly conspicuously by the bench, a park bench, for over 17 hours without being discovered. And while they were not being discovered, on the morning of January 6th, who happens to be at the DNC headquarters? Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. What was she doing there on that ill-fated morning? Really? That's interesting. In fact, the Secret Service agents who were informed of the existence of this pipe bomb had two SUVs with them that were both part of Harris's Secret Service detail. So then Beattie says, it may surprise the reader to learn of then-elect VP-elect Harris's presence in the building on 6 January, a fact that Harris studiously kept hidden from the public for almost a year before the information leaked. And still, Harris has never acknowledged it publicly. Now, she is without question one of the most politically opportunistic creatures on the planet. Why on earth would she forego the opportunity to milk politically the fact that she came within a hair's breadth of losing her life on January 6th because of a evil pipe bomb planted, obviously, you know what the narrative was supposed to be, by a Trump supporter? Now let's keep going. To get to the essential structural flaw in the official pipe bomb story, we need to say a few things about the discovery of the first pipe bomb, Beattie writes, which was at the office of the Republican National Committee. The first device discovered on January 6 was found by a random pedestrian named Carlin Younger behind a trash can in the back alley near the Capitol Hill Club, a private club. Younger reports that she discovered the bomb at 12:40 p.m. and notified security officials in the Capitol Hill Club. The timing is relevant, as 12:50 p.m., which is 10 minutes later when the Capitol Police were informed, that's 3 minutes before the initial and decisive attack on the west perimeter of the Capitol. Take a second to digest how just infinitesimally improbable this set of circumstances is. Like the DNC pipe bomb, surveillance footage provided by the FBI suggests the RNC pipe bomb, the first pipe bomb, was planted on the evening of January 5 around 8:30 p.m. This means that the RNC bomb was sitting behind a trash can in a back alley, undiscovered, for more than 16 hours, only to be randomly stumbled upon by a random pedestrian who discovers it nearly to the exact minute, perfectly synchronized with both the certification proceeding, that's the certification of the votes for Joe Biden, and the initial and decisive attack on the west perimeter of the Capitol. Now think about that. The DNC bomb was lying undiscovered for over 17 hours until it was found at 1:05 p.m., scarcely 15 minutes after the first pipe bomb was discovered. Wow, They were both outdoors for 16, 17 hours, and yet they were discovered 15 minutes apart. Did the pipe bomber just count on getting so lucky that the pipe bombs wouldn't be discovered prematurely, but rather would sit in their respective locations for 16 or 17 hours, only to be discovered in a narrow 15-minute window that corresponded precisely to the unfolding attack on the Capitol? What? The timing of the discovery of the bombs in relation to the attack on the Capitol alone means that at the very least, the people who discovered the bombs should be subject to serious questioning. And heretofore, they have not been. No curiosity whatsoever. The regime has desperately tried to suppress our Fedsurrection coverage. That's how the Revolver has labeled its overarching coverage, the Fedsurrection. But with the story now having reached escape velocity, the goal of suppression has grudgingly given way to the goal of damage control. At this very moment, mainstream newsrooms and government officials alike are brainstorming the best damage control strategy in nervous anticipation of the pipe bomb story cracking wide open. I suspect this damage control will involve a narrative containment strategy to cordon off the pipe bomb scandal and prevent it from metastasizing to other highly questionable elements of January 6th. The perfect synchronicity between such containment is now impossible. The perfect synchronicity between the discovery of the pipe bombs and the unfolding of the West Perimeter attack on the Capitol makes such a containment strategy possible. Did you get that? The regime cannot contain what has now been brought in full light of day by Revolver News. This story is only going to get better, and we're only going to keep following it because that's why we're here, folks. All right, let's move along. J6. Now you're going to love this one. You know, you'd think that there was nothing going on in the world sometimes, the way the left is busying itself with allocating and giving away money for the darndest things. We've got conflict in Ukraine. We've still got over 100 American hostages held by Hamas in the Middle East. Okay? We have a presidential candidate, Donald Trump, cleaning up in Iowa and New Hampshire in the last week or so. And the New Hampshire results are now being exposed as having been completely compromised by this chaotic Operation Chaos style approach to having Democrats voting for Nikki Haley. But we'll get into that because it's still unfolding. But meanwhile, what am I reading in our fabulous North State Journal newspaper here in North Carolina? If you don't subscribe, you should. It has some of the best independent reporting in the state, led by A.P. Dillon. And what's she reporting here? You're going to love this. Amid all the chaos in the world, amid all the problems in the world, amid a $34 trillion debt bomb ticking in the United States, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the White House announced the selection of 67 recipients that will receive almost $1 billion in grants through the Clean School Bus Program. I'll say that again. The Clean School Bus Program. Kamala Harris, here she is again. They give her all the tough assignments. Every school day, 25 million children ride our nation's largest form of mass transit. The vast majority of these buses run on diesel, exposing students, teachers, and bus drivers to toxic air pollution. Well, I rode a bus when I was a kid, 50 plus years ago. The diesel fumes didn't kill me. I think they actually made me a little bit more, dare I say it, immune to many illnesses. The initiative is part of President Joe Biden's Investing in America agenda. That's called Fleecing the Taxpayer agenda. And it aims to enhance air quality and protect the children. The program's current awards summary shows over $1.84 billion in the form of 439 grants spanning 652 school districts. And North Carolina will not be denied. Governor Roy Cooper, the lame duck Dem, issued a statement on the new round of grants, $26.7 million of which is coming to 16 North Carolina districts and schools for 114 electric school buses. 114 buses for $26 million? What are these, Rolls Royces, Bentleys, Maserati buses? Are you kidding me? New funding for electric school buses means protecting the health of children from harmful diesel fumes, cutting carbon emissions, saving money on bus maintenance for tight public school budgets, and creating good jobs in North Carolina. Well, I don't know about you, but the track record on maintenance for electric vehicles is lousy. I can only imagine that these buses are going to be sidelined on cold days, on hot days, on rainy days, any day that's not 100% sunshine and zero humidity. You wait. Durham Public Schools will get the highest number of EV buses at 38, followed by Charlotte Mecklenburg with 27. Cherokee County Central Schools will get 15, and Kannapolis City Schools will be receiving 8 of these fabulous buses. So there you have it, everybody. I don't know when they're coming. It's probably going to take them years to get them actually delivered. But man, aren't you relieved that we've got electric school buses coming our way? All right, now you're going to love this story. You saw where our Weasley Supreme Court, that would be the U.S. Supreme Court of the United States of America, baby. Well, we have a conservative majority there, but guess what? We handed the Biden regime, thanks to conservative Chief Justice John Roberts and Trump-era appointee Amy Coney Barrett, they joined the Dems, the libs, the left, in a 5-4 vote to instruct Texas to stand down from protecting its own border and to stop trying to inhibit the United States from removing razor wire from said border because it was dangerous for the illegals who were crossing at Eagle Pass and other major ports of entry. Dangerous for these criminals who are coming across. But you had to see this coming. In a significant escalation of tensions over the U.S.-Mexico border policies, several Republican governors are uniting in support of Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who says that essentially Texas is being invaded and that he has the right to protect his state regardless of what the Supreme Court says. And he has basically said, bring it on. You remove the wire, I'll put it back. Just watch me. Just watch me. The Texas response has drawn backing from several other Republican-led states. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis expressed his stance, emphasizing constitutional principles and pledging ongoing assistance. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem praised Texas's actions and criticized the Biden regime for creating a national security crisis. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin also weighed in, arguing that the Biden regime's policies have effectively turned every state into a border state with widespread implications for national security and public safety. Well, of course they do. Every state is a border state. You may have read that the son of a reality TV, Pawn Stars, P-A-W-N stars, the son of one of the stars of that show, a long-running show, died, 39 years old, fentanyl overdose. Where's the fentanyl coming from? The southern border, all day, every day. Swindled away in the backpacks of these migrants coming across illegally every single day. Virginia stands with Texas. Greg Abbott is doing the job Joe Biden and his border czars refuse to do to secure our border. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt and Montana's Greg Gianforte echoed the sentiments of their colleagues. Every Rhino, Georgia, even, I should learn how to read, even Rhino, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, who's not a big Trump fan at all, as we know, voiced his frustration with the situation at the southern border. Alabama's Kay Ivey wrote, Texas and the states have stepped up time and again. The White House, purposely absent. I've had enough. Texas, you can count on Alabama to have your back. Now, if you were wondering, if this concern is just overblown, hype on the right, which I don't know how you could. You've seen the video. There's so much of it day in and day out. A lot of it captured by a reporter named Ben Bergquam and his production crew, who have spent weeks and months on the southern border doing the Lord's work. Well, Ben was just in New Hampshire covering the primary, and on the night of January 24, he was flying back to his home, and he had a layover, a change of planes in Chicago. Never a good place to change planes in January, but that's another story. His flight is canceled. He can't get out. He's stuck in O'Hare Airport. What does Ben do? Curl up in a corner and go to sleep? Oh, no. He says, production crew, fire up the cameras. And they go and they find, in the bowels of O'Hare Airport, a processing area for illegals who have been flown into Chicago. They are concealed behind, several 50, 100 feet worth of black drape. And each little section of drape has a printed 8.5 by 11 little sign on it that says, private, stay out. But you can see through this black draping that there's all kinds of cots, hundreds of cots back there, with all these illegals being processed by willing non-governmental organizations running this little operation at O'Hare. And Ben took the time to spend in that airport setting when he was probably dead tired and wanting to take a nap, capturing this for us. It's unbelievable footage. It just reinforces that this border crisis is real and getting worse by the day, and they're coming closer and closer to your hometown, to your backyard, to your children's schools, to your shopping centers, and of course to your airports. This is a moment in time when serious-minded people need to step up, and unfortunately none of them are part of the Biden regime or the Democrat Party in Washington or in our state houses. It is a perilous time, ladies and gentlemen. But we will fight the good fight. We will stand in the breach, and we will continue at the Liberty Podcast to shine the light on truth and to keep America great, both now and in the future, because we are, and we deserve better than the leaders we have now, and we will get new ones soon. Stay the course. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.